Welcome to the Strength Solutions Podcast. We have an amazing podcast for you. Today we're going to talk about myths to unlearn this year, Ozempic withdrawals.
Uh-oh. That doesn't sound good.
Why people are scared to do what's right for their patients and clients. Eat less and move more approach doesn't work. I have 2 children, 3 if you count my husband. What does that mean?
Oh, no.
Rappers always lying. Police investigate something virtually.
Oh, yeah.
Reddit finds. We have our 2 studies and 4 fitness questions. If you're really enjoying this podcast, please share, like, subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube as well. Please leave a comment below, rate and review us. Tell me I have an amazing bald head. He has amazing hair. We're all good. Right. Honest 5-star review is the only way to go. Also, if you're looking for a website, it's ssempowered.com. And if you're looking for email, it's strengthsolutionsempowered@gmail.com. If you're looking for us on Facebook, it is Strength Solutions. Instagram is Strength Solutions Empowered. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
All right, let's get ready for these, I guess, like a great podcast.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
No, okay. So what do we need to unlearn this year, Nathaniel?
What do we need to unlearn this year?
I think it's time that people realize cardio does not mean weight loss.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times it's kind of equated, right? We usually say like, oh, you're going to lose weight.
You sound
start
so
running.
educated with that equated.
It's like, people start running or doing whatever. And that's like the first, step into trying to lose weight. I know that some people do get gym memberships, things like that. And this is especially like around this time with like the New Year's and everything like that. But how many times do people get gym memberships and then they just go to the treadmills, right? Go to the elliptical.
What?
Yeah, something like that. And it's a lot more less intimidating, I would say, right? Than going over, and you don't really need skill, right, to lift or do any of those things. You can just walk on the treadmill. And I think a lot of people will be slightly successful, maybe, but it's the fact that over time it doesn't really last.
I'm going to go to one of our friends named Joseph, and he talks about you got to be in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, nutrition controls exactly whether you're going to be gaining muscle with a stimulus of lifting weights,
right,
or if you're going to lose fat or just weight, period, because you're in a calorie deficit. That's something that people need to understand. It does come down to nutrition, and nutrition is very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Shoot, I'm uncomfortable right now, bro. No, just kidding.
I'm uncomfortable just talking about
it.
Yeah, no, I was working with a client the other day, a new one, and we were talking about, losing weight, things like that, especially as we get older and everything. And she asked me, she was like, how do I like get rid of like the midsection, And I was like, well, number one, it's going to be really hard because
drink beer.
I was like, it's going to be really hard because like you're fighting against your body's biology. It doesn't want to lose fat around the midsection. It's like, no, because that's where all your vital organs are, right? And it's an evolutionary trait. And so I was like, you can work out however, really. You can do kind of anything in the gym. You want to train for strength, cool. You can train for muscle building, endurance, whatever it is. But the only way to change the physical structure, right, of like fat is to just do nutrition. It's the only option, right? Like have to be in a calorie deficit if you want to lose weight, if you want to lose body fat. Now, if you want to lose body fat and still look good, right, that's where resistance training comes in and everything else. And that's why it's more important because it keeps your metabolism high, right? I think most people's picture in their head of when they lose weight and they look good, there's at least some amount of muscle on them, right? And if you're not resistance training, then you're not going to get that result.
All right. So the second thing people need to unlearn, I still get this from certain clients that you can only absorb 30 grams of protein per meal.
Yeah.
And a recent study has really just said you can absorb as much as possible, which makes sense, right? They had, I think, up to 100 grams in the study. It makes a lot of sense because think back then, we didn't always have food ready and available. If we could only absorb 30 grams of protein, what would we do with the whole animal or anything?
Food would be worthless.
Scarce.
Yeah.
Look, just get your protein however it matters per day. What if you eat 200 grams of protein in one meal? I'm not saying that's the most optimal, but you get 200 that day, or you need to spread it out. You got to figure out what works for you and how to get your protein in. And I would argue most people need to start early in the day to get their protein.
Yeah. I think that's where breakfast as a quote unquote important meal becomes important, right? Because like normally, so I'm not a big breakfast eater, right? I start my day pretty early. I don't really have time to like cook breakfast or anything like that, but I can eat a lot, right? So like for lunch, dinner, I'm cool, right? I can put down a bunch of protein for it. It's fine. But some people can't, right? Especially if you're not used to eating that amount of protein. It's hard to eat protein, you know? And so starting early in the day, you know, starting with the protein shake, I'll usually have at least that, you know, breakfast with eggs or whatever it is that you want to eat for breakfast. Greek yogurt is another good option, things like that. Just puts you ahead, right? For the time frame of the day. Because if you're trying to make up 80 grams of protein at 8 p.m. after you got off of work, it's gonna be tough. You know, it's not gonna be fun. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could have like 100 and I feel good, dude.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, sometimes I feel like I do really well with 2 meals a day, about 100 grams each of protein.
Yeah.
And I'm fine. Sometimes I need multiple meals a day.
Yeah.
It just depends on the work environment, the stress environment. So even as an individual, this is going to change day to day.
Yeah.
And when you get your protein.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you're consistent, keyword consistency, you will get a lot of gains making sure you hit that protein target. It's small decisions, like the guy that I'm helping out with our program right now. Literally, he was going to go to the store, get himself a Monster and Rice Krispie treat, and I was just like, hey bro, just get a protein bar and a protein shake.
Yeah.
Get some protein in you because you're gonna need it later. He was thankful afterwards that he made that decision.
Yeah.
But it's those little moments like that that'll make a huge difference.
That's funny, man. Especially because it's so like glorified, I guess, in like the space, right? Like,
yeah, like the cereal one I just sent you today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's just like, let's see. It's kind of like, I guess it
Not
falls.
saying you can't have cereal, guys.
No, yeah, yeah. And it kind of fits into like the if it fits your macros type thing where it's like, oh, well, you know, I could have my Monster has 0 calories or whatever. And I'm not, you know, vindicating myself or anything. Like I drink energy drinks all the time, you know, like, and so it's like, I'm definitely part of the group as well. But I think I said this in the last podcast, if I remember correctly. It's like, I just make sure that no matter whatever I'm trying to eat, it has some sort of purpose, right? There's some sort of reason why I'm eating it. And I was telling my client yesterday too, I was like, fun is a purpose sometimes, right? Social situations are a purpose sometimes, right? But they shouldn't always be the purpose, right? You can't have fun all the time, right? Sometimes you just got to do your shit. And sometimes you just have to make sure that whatever I'm eating doesn't have a lot of protein, right? Is it low calorie? Is it unprocessed? Is it whatever, right? And just making better decisions about what you're doing. But man, if you can eat 100 grams of protein in a single meal, man, put it down, you know, because that's what I'm the same way as you. Like I do 2 meals a day pretty much. And both meals are freaking massive, you know? Yeah. And it's just, honestly, I think for me, it's a little bit mental too. Cause I'm like, I get to eat so much food at one time. And it's like, it kind of like cures that feeling of wanting to eat a lot for me. So, I mean, that's how I do it. Yeah.
And there's days that I'll have like, okay, I'm going to have 4 meals today or 3 meals and a snack. I mean, it's just, you got to figure out what works for you as an individual. We talked about this on like our Instagram post, individuality. The next thing is, fitness is not perfect. Workouts don't have to be one way. And I say this because we have different workout programs for our website, SS Empowered, that you can purchase. And one's more mobility driven, one's bro split, one's full body, one's for new people who are brand new, who don't want to go to the gym. And there's a guy I was talking to today, and he's a trainer as well. And he's like, yeah, I hate this word too. I do more of my functional stuff when I'm at home. And then when I'm at the gym, because I'm here, I do a little bit more of the cables and stuff like that, like more bro split and like isometric. And I'm thinking like, I hate the word functional because you can make yourself functional anyhow. Yeah. Everything's functional.
Yeah.
But I understand you're doing 2 different things, and it doesn't have to be a perfect workout. That's one thing I've come to find, but what helps is a guided program.
Yeah, because a guided program, I think, makes it time efficient and it makes it just easy, right? Because
time efficient, tracks your volume. Makes everything just a lot easier on you.
Right. And even in the times where like, you're like, oh man, I only have, 30 minutes to work out today. It's a lot easier to just go, I'm just going to do the first half of my program, or I'm going to do the first 5 exercises, or I'll do the 5 exercises I didn't finish yesterday and do them today, right? Whatever it is, instead of sitting there and being like, oh man, what should I do? And then you're just wasting time. And again, too, like you said, I would rather follow my program and maybe one day I get it all done. Maybe another day I get it half done. Maybe another day I get it all done, right? But I'm still doing the program. I can still track my progress, right? I can still see it happening. I can see my strength growing. I can see my technique building, right? Even if one day I'm like, I only have 15 minutes to work out, I'm just going to focus on getting some perfect sets of squats.
Like or perfect mobility.
Perfect mobility, right? Yeah. Or, hey, I'm going to go hard on the assault bike or whatever it is, right? Like
danger.
as long as you're doing something, right? I would rather, that's one of the things that I'm trying to focus on too this year is that like, I'd rather do something than nothing.
Yeah. And also, we're saying you don't have to be perfect, but if you do this programs, like our programs, it will speed up your capability if you have the time.
Yeah.
And that's why we wrote different models of the program where some are only 3 days a week. And I think people don't realize a good, effective program makes really a big difference.
Yeah.
Like you found out when I sent you that first program.
It's crazy, man. Yeah. I'll never forget. Like before then, I kind of just went to the gym and sort of did whatever, you know, what I was feeling for the day. Sometimes I would.
That's what most people do.
Yeah. And
that's better than nothing. I think for a majority of people, that is better than
nothing. Better than nothing, right? Luckily, I think that you caught me early into my like lifting career, so I don't have too much experience with being like, well, you know, I spent 3 years doing whatever or something. It's more like one, you know, maybe 1.5 or something like that. And then I remember just getting the program and being like, holy crap, you know, I spent 1.5 years working out on my own, thinking I knew what I was doing. Mind you, I went to school. I had my personal training certification already. I thought I knew what I was doing, you know, and then I was given a good program and I was like, I don't think I know what I'm doing.
You're like, I fucked up.
Yeah. And it was like 1.5 years of me training on my own. I got more gains in 3 months on a good, effective program than I did in that entire time.
You know what's crazy? I think the quickest way for a trainer to learn or anybody to learn is to go through like our programs and go through different ones.
Yeah.
And really be effective. I mean, go on our website, go purchase them. It'll be very effective to figure out, okay, I like this, I don't like that. Because we talked about mixing our programs together.
Right.
And probably going to release another one this year. I know we have like Circus, which is unconventional lifts and stuff like that. But I think it's time for people to like, look, just spend money on programming, play. We're kids.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're kids, just play. And get over yourself of being perfect. Like you're going to make mistakes in your lift. I think it's funny when I get clients who watch me squat and they're like, oh, I can't squat like that. Well, I practiced for years and I'm still not perfect.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, just take your time. It's going to be there. Another thing that fitness does wrong is you got to learn it's not an all or nothing mentality. And this goes with what we talked about, not being perfect. If you have that 15 minutes, take that 15 minutes.
Do it.
If you want to do mobility while watching Netflix or a game or, you know, you're just, I got 10 minutes at home. Let me just stretch. You want to do calf raises, like right next to your counter, close your eyes and balance. Those all count towards your fitness. It's as simple as, okay, I'm going to wash dishes and I'm going to be on one foot. I'm going to try to wash dishes. That counts towards your fitness. Most people will say not, but that does because you're working on balance and stability.
Yeah. And you know, what's funny too, is that like, people will do that with a television show, you know, put it on and be like, oh, I got 15 minutes. I'm going to watch half of this and I'll watch the other half later, right?
Yeah.
No problem with that. You know, and then when it comes to fitness, you're like, no, I have to watch it all at one time. But yeah, I mean, I think that just making sure that you're getting something done every day. Like you said, today I was at the gym and I was kind of laughing because there was this dude and he was working out. And I think he was like doing some mobility stuff. And the whole time he was like playing a game on his phone and he was just like doing something over here, doing something over there. And I was like, that's funny, you know, like, but as long as you get it in, right? He's at the gym, right? Some people are not at the gym doing the same thing, you know? So it's like, I'd rather him be doing it there than not doing anything at all. But making sure that you just get something done every single day, right, is going to be a huge difference.
All right. So this last one it's the start of the year and everybody's like, I'm going to get my goal in 3 months. You need to change your mentality from 3 months to a lifetime. And this starts all up here, really in the head, really saying to myself, I got to do this forever. I had a talk this today. I have a client who's 72, who has a certain condition, and she can trap bar deadlift after I helped her avoid getting back surgery.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how she is not the norm in her population. And she has a condition which she shouldn't be doing what she's doing, but because she moves and makes good choices, she's able to have quality of life. And I told her my inspiration is actually my grandfather. My grandfather was about 90 years old, moving his entire life, picking up heavy ass desk in his 80s. And if it wasn't for like cancer towards the end, he had only 6 months of a quality of life.
Wow.
Like that's inspiration to me.
Yeah.
Having quality.
That's huge. It's crazy that you actually have sort of I guess you could say a personal real life example of that. Cause it's like most of us probably don't, you know, I would say that growing up, most of the older people in my life were like not doing anything, you know, even to this day, you know, they don't really exercise. They don't really do much, or, you know, they just kind of sit around or blame age for not being able to do things. Right. I think that's a big thing where they're just like, well, I'm old, or, well, you know, I'm 60, whatever. And, you know, you just can't do those things. And it's like, it's not the way it should be, you know, like your grandfather, that example that you gave is like the perfect example of sort of the lifespan of a human should be, right? Yeah. You should be able to do shit all the way up until you can't, you know, and there's not any moment in between where you like give up.
Dude, you want to know his secret? Like what vitamins he took, shots he did? Took nothing. You know what he did? He moved every day.
Yep.
He ate mostly whole foods. And that's pretty much it. And slept normal days, everything.
Read the newspaper.
Read a little bit. Rarely watched TV and just sat there. I mean, he moved his entire life. He would build some furniture, doing things, made his hands strong. It tells you like, we have all this capability. It's all within us. We need to stop complaining and understand we got to do this forever. We're meant to move. We're meant to eat whole foods, whether it's vegetables or meat. And this fucking debate, dude, I'm like tired of like carnivores and vegans and all these people. You got to do what's best for you as the individual and eat mostly whole foods. Find out what whole foods work for you. Yeah. Find out what exercises you need. Right. So this lady who's 72, who I saved from back issue, we first worked on external rotation. Now we're working more on the pelvic floor because now she needs the pelvic floor to be added to it. And now she's like, oh, I feel like the trap bar deadlift is becoming easier. I'm feeling more stable. And I'm like, we're taking pressure off your spine. Now your core is taking a little bit more of the load. And it's just like, it's so individualized. Yes. But start with the basics, whole foods and just some sort of movement and sleep.
There you go, man. That's it.
All right, so this weekend was New Year's.
Yeah.
I saw you here taking your shots.
Yep.
No, but we had fun New Year's.
We did, man.
We played a little bit blackjack.
Yeah, a lot. Dude, honestly, it was really fun, man. I loved it. Yeah, honestly, I like playing the game. It was fun to like get into it a little bit, you know, like, yeah. I
met someone from Australia.
Yep. Super cool. Yeah. She's all, good night, mate. Dude, it was great, man. It was a lot of fun. I love your parties, bro. Yeah. They're like my favorite.
Amanda's always entertaining, right?
Just super entertaining. Yeah, that's what we want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you do anything else for New Year's, like the next day?
The next day after,
I know you had to come by.
Yeah, I know. Irresponsible. Yeah, tisk. Yeah. No, let's see. What did we do? Came back, picked up the stuff, went back home. I think we really did anything that day, man. It's kind of all just like out of my head. I can't really remember. Played with like Christmas gifts and things like that because finally got a chance to do that with my daughter and everything. So it was a good time, man. Yeah, it was needed. I was happy that there was so much like breaks these past couple of weeks, but also it made me really ready to get back into like doing our stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so rejuvenated right now. Like I'm ready to go. Been going nonstop. We've been texting back and forward.
Yeah. I think we should make that a thing, man. We should probably text just like all day, just about what we're doing, keep each other accountable, stuff like that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's the only reason I've been texting like first thing in the morning.
Okay.
That's
only
why you've been getting
whatever.
I don't want to hear your voice. I don't want to talk to you. I just do an
We're not friends or anything. Yeah, that's whatever.
Fuck you. Whoa. Okay, so there's this article, bro, and it was really interesting. It was talking about Ozempic Withdrawal.
Okay.
I don't think I sent it to you.
People like addicted, like I need it.
No, it's not. No, it's not about addicted. Just like, it's more about like when they go off Ozempic, they literally the people who didn't change their lifestyle gained their weight plus more, and then people who did change their lifestyle gained half the weight back.
Whoa! Even if they did change their lifestyle. What?
So I don't think we realize how strong these peptides are. Now, I would still argue I would get someone started and that group that changed their lifestyle and only gained half back It's just an adjustment period.
That's still pretty good.
That's a short-term adjustment period,
Yeah.
right? So let's just say it's someone who's 200, they drop down to 130, they bounce back up to like 160, right? That's going to happen because now your hunger signals are back.
Yeah.
But now it's about learning how to manage your new hunger signals again.
Right. And thinking about it like in a different perspective, it's how much weight would they have lost if they didn't use the medication, right? So like maybe they would have lost 30 pounds, right? So they're still kind of, at the end of the day, kind of ending up with what they would have lost normally. That's interesting though, man. It's kind of concerning because like, you know, I have clients who are on this stuff, like people who just take it normally, you know, like who aren't working out or doing anything.
So either you have to be on it forever or you have to change your lifestyle.
And that's like, you know, it's funny because I was talking to one of my clients about it and I was just like, so like, what happens at the end of this? Like, do you get off? Like, are they going to stop giving it to you? Like, you know, what's the protocol for after this, you know, after the program or after it lasts? Like, what do you do now? You know, and it's, I guess they don't really have one if this is happening, right? Like there should be something.
I really think this is where trainers step in.
Yeah.
And really, they should do Ozempic. And I think that's why I like that we're trying to partner up with a company named Renew who does this. And look, if you're going to do this, you need a trainer with you to still change your lifestyle. It's going to help, you know, with controlling your eating and portion control. Yeah. It's not a bad thing. I'm not going to say it's a bad thing. It's a tool like anything else. Yeah. Just don't depend on the tool if it's going to cause you issues. I
think trainers are the post-program protocol, right? Like you should go find one.
You should do it while you're doing it.
You should do it while. So that's like
because that takes time to build your lifestyle.
Yeah, I'm happy that that's happening right now with one of my clients because she's with me right now, but she's gotten on the medication before me. And dude, I mean, like honestly, after this vacation, we had our first like session back, and I looked at her and I was like, dude, like, I was like, you look great, but like, damn, like I can tell you lost weight over the past like 2 weeks, like a substantial amount, you know? And she was like, yeah, I dropped like another like 10, 11 pounds or something like that. And I was like, what the fuck? Like that's a lot, you know? And it's funny because like for some people, it's sort of like this gradual sort of like consistent every month you're losing a certain amount of weight. For some people like her, it's kind of this weird, like we'll go like 2 weeks and she's just like, I'm not really losing any weight. And then like 1 week is just bam, like gone.
It just shows you. I think everybody loses weight differently.
Everybody loses weight differently, right? Yeah, because I bet even if she wasn't on the medication, that's probably how she would lose weight, right? It'd probably be weeks long of like nothing happening. And I understand that's frustrating, but you just got to kind of trust the process, right? And then one day it's just going to go boop. And then you're like, oh shit, there it goes. But yeah, so that's interesting, man. That is, something to look into. That's kind of concerning. Yeah.
It's a brand new thing. So, I mean, we can't just say it's so great. And I think we do this so many times, you know, I mean, just like when we learned about plastic surgery, because I listened to a doctor this morning about plastic surgery, talking about implants. And we didn't know that women are taking out their implants and feel much better all of a sudden. Things like that happen.
Yeah. It's funny. I was watching a TV show called Botched and it's like about like bad plastic surgery. Yeah. But it's funny because like they were talking about stuff like that where like people will sometimes get implants or whatever it is. And then they come back in and they're like, actually, this kind of sucks. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, can we get them out or whatever it is? And then suddenly they're all better, you know?
All right. So this next topic is about something that is really close to me because I listened to a plastic surgeon this morning and he was talking about how like other doctors hate on other doctors. And I was thinking about, man, why are so people scared to refer out? Yeah. And so like I literally lost a client recently because she's going with a chiropractor and I told her and she still wants to be with me. And I was like, just do the exercises I told you, come back to me once you're done with your routine for the chiropractor, but you got to complete these exercises. And not enough trainers, not enough health professionals are, I want to use the word man enough, but can't think of anything like else to say, look, this is what's best for you now. And you'll do this later. It's just part of the cycle of like what's doing best for your client or patient. And I heard that this morning with the plastic surgeon, like plastic surgeons just taking clients, even though the client doesn't need it just because it's money. And greed kills people, man.
And I understand too, right? Especially from a personal training perspective, like we run off clients, you know? So if I tell a client to go do something, right, that, hey, that's money out of my pocket, right? But you got to think long term, you know.
Yeah.
And you also, I find
It pays off at the end, dude.
yeah, right, because number one, they're going to trust you a lot more. They're going to respect you a lot more, right? Like, dude, how many times have I told you that? Hey, I got an old client who texted me, you know, and they're ready to start again. I just told you about that recently, right? Because, and it's funny because I'll talk to them and I'll say like, my first question is always like, what made you reach out? Like, why are you calling me? You know, what's up? And so sometimes it's, you know, they're like, oh, well, you know, I was doing this and I injured myself, or a lot of them are just like, you know, it just doesn't feel the same. You know, like I need someone around. It was good when we had you. Like we felt better. We felt whatever it is. But yeah. And you know, what's funny, and you talking about this, I remember maybe in our first iteration of the podcast, maybe like the first couple episodes, one of my friends had sent me a message, and she has dealt with like a hand issue for a long time.
Oh, I
Do you remember
you
that?
telling me about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And so she was working with a trainer who's like pretty famous here in San Antonio. and she was working with him for a while. And I think that in that facility, they had like some sort of like therapist type thing, or someone who like specialized in injuries. And he was there to help, you know, like he was like someone on site from what I understand. And I remember my friend had asked her trainer, like, hey, can I ask him, like, do you think I should like work with him and maybe they can help with my hand issue and stuff like that? Because at the moment it was becoming a problem with her training. Like she couldn't like grip things well, stuff like that. And that the trainer was like, no, you don't need that. Like that's for like people who, you know, like she definitely was a candidate, but I think he was afraid. You know, I think he was afraid. And I think that at that point it comes down to confidence, right, in the trainer themselves and their own abilities, that they're probably afraid that, oh my God, if they go with this person, like they're either one, going to know that I did something wrong, two, that I don't know what I'm talking about, right? Or
you may not know what you're talking about because that's not your specialty.
And I think that's okay, right? Like how many times do I have I have so many clients who I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. Like, go to the doctor. Like, you know what I mean? Because if I continue to mess around with it, what do I know? You know, I'm obviously not fixing it. If I can't figure it out in the first, like maybe like couple of sessions, you know, because I feel like me and you are pretty good at like figuring things out. And it's like, if I can't figure it out in that amount of time, then it's probably above my head. You know, it's probably needs to be referred out.
And even within that, you can say like maybe you need like 5 different physical therapists to look at it, or chiropractors, or doctors, because everybody sees things differently and we all convey the message differently. We all work differently, and it is complex. You know,
Very.
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So there's another article that I sent this one to you, but I don't know if you read it or not. You're not known to read.
What is that?
But it's about eat less and move more approach does not work.
Oh.
So they recently did a study where they're talking to doctors, and this eat less, move more approach, I wish I wrote the percentage down, does not work for about like 90% of the patients. And they were just like comment like, just stop eating carbs, just eat a little bit less and stuff like that. And this shows the value of coaching. And I think if doctors would partner up with personal trainers, and actually good personal trainers who are willing to coach and take their time with clients and convey a message of strength training, overall health, work with a doctor, which I've tried. It's kind of hard to get in contact with doctors, but they can help their patients get better holistically.
Yeah.
Now it's up to the doctor who wants to do that. Because at the end of the day, I believe they all become doctors to want what's best for people, and they take the Hippocratic Oath.
Sure.
But something gets lost along the way for some of them.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, you
It happens
gotta
to trainers too, guys.
Yeah, you gotta remember, like, I mean, we're all human, right? We all have different things.
No, I'm not human. I'm a machine. Elon put a chip in my head.
The 5G. It's like, you know, like you said, with trainers too, sometimes you just get kind of caught up and you get into sort of like a routine. You know, you're just doing the same stuff over and over, or like you said earlier, like maybe you're worried about money, maybe it's confidence, things like that. But yeah, I find that most of these things are behaviorally related. You know what I mean? It's not just, hey, stop eating. If everybody could do that, everybody would be fit. You know what I mean? If everybody could eat less and move more, we'd be fucking awesome.
And I don't think we have a weight loss problem either. We have a weight maintenance problem, because America loses the most amount of weight every year and gains it back most of the time.
Yeah. We have a problem with maintaining health,
Mhm.
right? That's the thing. And so I think that you said like doctors, I know for a fact, like at least physical therapists, their nutrition portion of their curriculum is like a month.
Yeah.
And it's super basic. It's probably the same shit we all know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's probably nothing new or special that the doctor.
A lot of doctors will say they didn't get that much nutrition.
Yeah, a lot of them. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's funny because it's just like, dude, like this is what we had for so long. The other day, I don't know if I sent you the video. It was like a funny video of this guy who was making a soup or like a stew or something. And he was like, you're going to tell me that I'm putting like chicken bones in here and like different plants and stuff and not tell me this is like some magic witch shit, you know? And it's funny, but it's like, dude, at the time, that was medicine. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I forgot who said it, but what they said something about food being medicine.
Mm-hmm.
It was like in Greek times too. We knew this way back then.
We knew this. And most medications now are derived from certain foods or
plants.
Animals and things like that, right? Like it's like, dude, we have all the answers. It's in the grocery stores, you know, it's in the kitchens. And I don't know, man.
Well, you know, I've been having trouble sleeping and stuff like that. I recently found out if you don't have enough vitamin C, so I'm going to start eating more vitamin C foods. It should help you because if you could go to sleep, but if you don't stay asleep, it may be because of vitamin C. And so I'm going to start seeing if that works for me.
Yeah.
And that's something I learned nutritionally just the other day.
Or even like teas and shit, dude, like herbal stuff. You know what I mean? Try that too. Because we've used it forever. There's a reason why we have it.
All right. So there's this post on social media, and it goes like this. I have 2 children, but if you count my husband, I have 3. And so it talks about like relationships. And, you know, I was thinking about that. Man, why do they do that to husbands and talk so negatively? And they're talking about how as soon as a woman does that, her respect for her partner
is dead.
And relationship is dead. And I think to myself, actually, most people I've heard who say that their relationship is dead and
there's like
they don't respect each other.
There's like a resentment, right? There's like an underlying tone of like, it just pisses me off, you know? Yeah. And like you get sort of in this cycle too, where you're just like, oh my God, you know, I'm always taking care of him, I'm always doing that. And then, you know, of course you're going to resent him, right? Or not respect him. Because if you say something like that, like I have 2 children, 3 if you count my husband, right? You put him at the same level of your children, right? At the same respect level, right? And while we all generally have a certain amount of respect for our kids, right? They are our kids, though. You know what I mean? You kind of look at them differently. It's funny, you know, you never hear guys saying this. You know, you never hear men saying.
I think their guy equivalent is saying that she's crazy. I think that is the guy's equivalent. You know, we don't see. I think because men tend to act childish, right? We tend to joke around. Yeah. We tend to have that type of mentality where I think men will say women are crazy or she's just off the deep end kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think that's the equivalent. Yeah. I think like what I've learned recently is you got to know both sides of the story and you got to know how both think.
Yeah, definitely. Because we generally will only ever hear one side, right? Like if I thought about all my clients, you know, all the stuff that I hear, some of them do sound like they have fantastic relationships and things like that. Sometimes I'm like, damn, like that sucks, you know? And I remember talking to my therapist too. She was talking to me about that. And she was talking about like how couples will come in and sometimes like, you know, she's like, I only ever hear one side, you know, and it always generally sounds really bad. And she was like, I could have no clue. People could come in here and fabricate an entire story about how their partner is this and how their partner is that. And then she spends her whole time being like, well, damn, now I have to like figure out how to like help them cope with their partner and all this stuff. And she's like, I don't even know if it's real sometimes. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you do get down to it, right? And maybe you do catch them in a lie or whatever. I've even had people tell me that who have gone to therapists that I heard this one specific story. And they were like, I feel like I have to get a new therapist. And I was like, why? And she was like, I feel like when I started, I didn't really tell her the truth. And now my whole therapy has been kind of based off of this like sort of half truth that I had.
No way.
And I was like, that sucks. But it's like, how many times does that happen? You know?
Probably a lot, dude.
Probably a lot, right? And so it's just, I don't know. I think that we really need to, if you're feeling like that about your partner, right? Like if you're like, I'm taking care of them, they're a child, you either need to have a discussion with them or talk about something, because if that perpetuates, then yeah, I think the relationship is dead. And I sent this to Camille, and I was like, what do you think about this? And she was like, oh yeah, I like agree. Like if that's like a problem, then like there's a huge issue with the relationship.
I think we need to communicate better and learn how to take information and take feedback. And I see it all the time in the fitness space. I see it everywhere with relationships where you'll see, well, this guy did this. I was like, yeah, but did you hear the story about the other person?
Yeah.
So like I've gotten to the point where like I'll look at stuff, social media, and be like, well, I never heard the other side.
Yeah.
The only thing I could say from this side is this, but what is the other side?
Mm.
Or like in fitness, and someone's like, I'm having trouble with losing weight and I'm doing this. And I'm like, okay, what's the real story? And this is stuff that happens to us in our consultation all the time. Right. And so it's the same concept. What is the real story? What if I asked your significant other, your son, how do you eat? Are they going to say, oh yeah, mom? Because there's times I have trained a mom and the son will come in and be like, oh no, my mom doesn't eat that way. And I was like, narc. Narc. That's like so straight up lie, because we're really good at lying to ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. I think we're so good today, especially with the amount of education, the amount of psychology, TikTok psychology, Instagram psychology that's out there to make you believe what you want. A perfect example, this guy was calling out one of these red pill guys about being a man and being the best possible. And the girl asked him about, like, why can't you be faithful to one woman? He's like, I worked on myself. I'm going to be the best possible. I don't need to be faithful to one woman. But isn't being the best part of yourself is being faithful to someone, or faithful to the individuals that you're talking to as well?
How interesting, man. Yeah.
We're just really good at lying. It's like, just like this rapper.
Oh, God.
Dude, you sent me that, and I was like, I believe it.
Yep. It was...
I think rappers lie all the time. I think... actors lie all the time to do what's best to sell records and do whatever they want.
I sent you another one, and I want you to take a look at that at some point.
Which one was it?
You got to watch it. It's on TikTok. It was Cat Williams. Did you watch it?
Cat Williams. Oh, talking about Kanye.
No. You watch it
okay.
later. But it coincides with this. But yeah, there was an interview recently with Nicki Minaj, and she was talking about a rapper. I think his name is Future. Mm-hmm. I don't know who she was interviewing with. I don't know.
Talking about Steve Harvey part?
Yeah.
Okay, I did see that one.
Okay, yeah.
So you
yeah. And so she was talking about how like a lot of the content of his music is like doing drugs and shit like that. And she was saying that like fans want to feel close to the artist, right? So they'll tend to emulate what they do, right? Mm-hmm. And this is totally common, right? In a lot of aspects, right? Not just with like music or anything. And she was like, so what are these people doing? They're out, fucking doing drugs and doing crazy shit or whatever, the songs are about, because that makes them feel like they're living that lifestyle, And I think she said that she went to like a party or something like that, and she was asking him like, oh, do you want to do this or do whatever? And he was like, oh, I don't do any of that stuff. And she was like, the fuck? Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's all you ever talk about. And
that's all you rap about.
He was like, no, I don't do any of those things. Dang. And I was like, dude, I mean, the same thing with this Cat Williams too. Like, people are like calling people out, fucking name dropping, telling stuff, and like that's a little unnatural, and I'm wondering, like, it's kind of cool. Like, I'm kind of like about it.
You know why I like it is because it's accountability, and it's to show the fraud that's really out there.
Yeah,
And
so this one with Cat Williams, he was talking about Steve Harvey, and this was a quick part, but it did get dude, I might sit down and watch that whole interview, because I saw another snippet of it today, and I was like, what the fuck?
What is it on?
I don't know. But the guy who's interviewing him, I know I've seen this dude on like NBA shit. Like, he's like
Shannon Sharp. Yeah. It's probably his podcast.
Okay. Yeah.
That's right. Because I saw a clip him talking to Kat, and they're talking about what I was telling you earlier about Kanye and Kim.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
She was a whore before he met her.
And yeah, he was talking about like Steve Harvey, and Steve Harvey often like in interviews will tell people that he was like homeless before he got famous, and he came up from the bottom, and life was super hard and all this stuff. And Kat was like, that's my life, bro. Like, that's what I went through. And he was like, you grew up in like an easy part of Los Angeles. You had a bunch of people who like helped you get on your way. Like, you didn't have to work hard at all. He was like, he did his first, like, I don't know, special or something like that. And he was like, immediately after, he had like a TV show. He had all this stuff going on. He was like, how many rappers how many like comedians do that? Yeah. And he was like, none of them. Zero comedians do a show, and
Kevin Hart.
He talks about him too,
I know.
bro.
Yep.
He talks about him too. Man, we should watch that interview,
Let's stop
bro.
right there.
Yeah,
Let's watch it all.
Yeah.
Okay, keep on going. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so let's talk about our last topic before Reddit finds. The police investigate a virtual rape.
Yeah.
So what can they do? There's no law, no nothing. Like, you're not really raping someone physically.
But
like, is that going to become a law? What's going to happen? How we're going to find out who it is?
I think
because you can hide all the way.
I think it opens a weird door, right? And it kind of like begs questions about all this stuff, like the metaverse and virtual reality and all this stuff. And it was like, I think the girl was like 14 or 15 or something like that, and she said that she was like in this like chat type virtual reality room, and that she was like being I guess you could say assaulted. She was like being touched and grabbed and stuff like that from like a bunch of other people. Shut it down? So that's what a lot of people were saying in the comments, and they were just like, just take the fucking mask off or whatever. And someone said something, but like also I think that we should stop. Camille tells me this a lot of the times, that we should stop like how do you say it, like infantizing children, because like a lot of people were like, well, she's 14, she's a kid, she didn't know what was going on, like she just kept him on because and it's like, well, but she 14, probably did, right? Yeah, like she could have taken off the thing. Like, I'm sure, I don't know what it was like, I'm sure it was shocking, I'm sure it was scary and stuff like that, and just weird, right? But yeah, it's like, and I will say this, I don't know what virtual reality thing that she was in, because I remember a long time ago we talked about this one person who posted a video where she was like in a strip club in a virtual reality room, and she had like sensors on her to where she could like feel people touching her, and now while that was consensual, right, she was like doing it on purpose. It's like, I don't know if this kid had it. I don't know if they were wearing that stuff, and that's a whole different thing too. But it's also like, how do we police it? How do we regulate it? Is it something that's supposed to be regulated? Is it something that's supposed to be policed? Is this the parent's job, right? Is it
the company?
Is it the company, right? Like, who's at fault here? Is it the people that did it? Like you said, you can mask IP addresses. You can like make up fake names. It's how the hell? What are you supposed to do?
It's an interesting road ahead.
Interesting road.
All right. So Reddit finds pastor try to push McDonald's worker head into air fryer. Bro, how are you a pastor and you're going to the back trying to push a kid head? Oh,
God, yeah. I mean, dude, I feel
think
like
we've lost our cool because of processed foods, bro.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, dude, because I don't really know the situation. I'm assuming it was like pastor goes in to order food is wrong, gets pissed off, goes into the back type thing.
But you're a pastor, bro. You're a pastor.
Yeah, but man,
live the life that God wants you to live. Yeah, be kind to others.
If that's what you preach, right, and that's what you believe, then you should be doing it. But I will say, I was talking to somebody the other day. Talk
to people?
Yeah, all the time. One of my clients who's more religious, I think we were talking about churches and stuff like that. And I was like, I feel like 90% of churches or people or pastors or whatever are in it for the money. Right, in it for the stuff like that, and they agreed. They were like, "Yeah, I totally agree." Like especially like big super mega churches like and stuff like that. Osteen. Yep, and Pastor Hagee here in Texas. I'll call him out. I'm calling out. And it's like
canceled.
And the
God has canceled you, son.
The show's done. But it's like, there's a small percentage, I feel like, of religious organizations that are probably actually in it for the religiosity.
I also believe a lot of these guys go into good intent. The problem is humans. We become greedy.
Everybody, right?
Right. It's very hard. And I think this is why I like the podcast for us. It holds us accountable. Mm-hmm. I goes back and like I listen to things and I think, okay, I should have said this better, or maybe I need to change my mind on this.
Yeah.
And I find different information to make me a better person. And I think we have to work as humans every day to become a better person. I can't say I go to church every Sunday and I become a better person, or I can't say I wake up and I just go lift weights and I'm a better person. No, like you got to work every minute of your life somehow, even with your thoughts, and just become a better person. And, like, I literally volunteer my time to do stuff and do things for free, man. I think that's like underrated a lot of times.
Yep.
I don't know. I feel like we're at a point where we worship money. We don't worship a God or faith above us. We worship material items. And I don't really see it out there. I think we're going back to like what you read in the Bible and books and stuff like that. I think you don't have to be religious. You don't have to believe in God or Islam to be a good person, but you need the same moral fabrics.
Yeah,
Definitely. I just see it all the time. It's just crazy. A pastor doing that. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It's pretty violent.
Unbelievable. The second one, this bill is ridiculous. It's just introduced, but a North Dakota Republican introduced a bill that fines people if they use a trans right pronoun. You're literally going out of your way to find someone if they use a right pronoun. Like,
right. So
why does it bother you so much?
Essentially, if I'm a trans individual and I decide that my pronouns are, this, that, or whatever, and if someone uses them, then they could be fined. I think it was like $1,500 or something like that. Yeah. Insane, dude. And also, like, how? Like, do you get reported? Like, does a cop have to come around?
Well, it's a heavy Republican state one, so it'll probably happen reporting.
That's crazy, dude, right? Because that's fucking making it like to where people are like telling on everybody.
The group that's responsible for freedom of speech, they say they want freedom of speech, is taking away your freedom to do this. And just like I don't think it's right that Colorado took Trump off the ballot because that's part of freedom of speech or freedom overall, right? We're starting to blur the lines between freedom and what we want. And it's becoming...
It's a narrative.
It's normalized that we take things away. There's no more freedom of speech after that. Right? You're just... we're embarking on something our forefathers have fought for, our generations, World War I, World War II, everybody who's gotten along the way to fight for the freedom of doing all these things. And yet we're going backwards. Yeah. We're taking things away. It makes no sense.
Crazy.
All right, we got 2 studies. The first study is about memory and research. So researchers have investigated how sleep affects memory. They found a link between breathing and the emergence of certain brain activity patterns in sleep that are associated with reactivation of memory contents. The data points to possible consequences of unhealthy breathing on memory. Well, this is kind of like obvious. Oxygen plays a role, right?
Unhealthy breathing?
Yeah, so a lot of times people don't breathe when they sleep and they need a CPAP or stuff like that. So sometimes being too big, like a bodybuilder, like your neck's too much and then it cuts off breathing while sleeping. And oxygen's important. Let's just be real.
I wonder how... So, like, recently I've been realizing that I need to prioritize breath work, especially for, like, anxiety or for other things, tension.
Because your breath gets, like, short?
Yeah, it's like...
Do you feel tightness in your chest?
Your breath is just so... connected to how your body reacts to things. If I'm sitting here and I start going, my body's gonna start being like, oh shit, like something's wrong, right? Like I'm in freak out mode, right? When you regulate your breathing, right, then your whole like parasympathetic system just like
you can feel your body relax,
turns off, right? Yeah, and so I wonder how this affects people who do things like that, right? Like or people who have anxiety. Stuff like that who don't breathe. Like I will say that there's been times where like I'm driving and I'll be like, oh shit, like I didn't even realize that I was fucking holding my breath the whole time because I was just like thinking about stuff and getting more and more like, tensed up throughout things. And it's like, no wonder I can't remember shit or whatever it is, that's really interesting.
Yeah. Second study was about breastfeeding, and breastfeeding, even partially alongside formula feeding, changes the chemical makeup of the metabolome of an infant. So it's the fecal part, infant's gut, in ways that positively influence the brain development and may boost test scores years later, suggests research. So, and even in the art, I don't know, did you read it? The breastfeeding one?
No, what is this?
So, so it's saying it's important to breastfeed the first 6 months. And in America, we don't have much time, and that's causing an issue of like, people who breastfeed tend to have better scores later in life and their brain activity is much better. But they did say in the article that even breastfeeding with formula just a little bit, if you can't breastfeed a lot, makes a huge difference too.
Let me ask this question. is it specifically the act of breastfeeding that matters, or what if it's breast milk, right? Like what if it's pumped and then given to the baby in a bottle?
So that's what they were talking about. It's the milk itself, right?
Okay.
But I imagine they probably haven't done research more that the connection to the other human makes a huge difference.
That's a whole other
We're
thing.
still
right?
learning, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I know that's a huge thing too, but it's the fact that even in conjunction with the small amount of formula and breast milk, right, can still help, right? Yeah. Because I know sometimes like the actual like act of like latching and feeding is difficult, but you can still pump, right? And like get things done like that. So even that matters. And that's why I asked, because it's like, does it have to be breastfeeding, or is it just like the composition of the milk itself?
Yeah. And I think we're like the first generation that's like formula babies.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing the effects probably.
I was raised off protein, bro. That's what I'm jacked.
Just straight. But I think we're starting to see the effects of that. And like your breast milk, now we know naturally has something at night that allows the baby to go to sleep if they feed with the night milk versus the day milk that keeps them awake.
Dude.
And we're starting to figure all these things out. And I think we think we know, but we don't know all these natural elements that are in life.
That's what you need, bro. Some night milk to go to bed.
I do need. Amanda, we need to start producing.
Yeah, we got to start it over.
All right, guys, if you like what we're doing, please share, like, subscribe. We're on Apple and Spotify. Rate and review us 5 stars. We're also on YouTube now. Leave a comment about how gorgeous my bald head is. And then also, if you're looking for us on the website, it's ssempowered.com. We have free blogs, free guides, which our first blog will be released next week when this is released. Also, if you're looking for programs to purchase, it is on ssempowered.com. Our email is strengthsolutionsempowered@gmail.com. We have there where you can take the fitness questions or any questions that you have at all. Also, if you're looking for us on social media, it's Strength Solutions on Facebook. On Instagram, it's Strength Solutions Empowered. All right, let's get ready for these fitness questions.
Let's do it.
First question. What is one piece of advice that you would give to someone if they're just starting their fitness journey? I am 23 years old and I'm looking to lose weight.
23-year-old, just starting your fitness journey.
Yeah. My first thing would say you're young.
Yeah.
Don't focus on losing weight first. Focus on building muscle and you'll lose body percent fat at the beginning.
Yeah.
And focus on protein. If you do those two things, you'll be probably 90% of where you want to be. Because if you focus on losing weight, psychologically, you're not going to get stronger. You're probably going to lose muscle mass. You're probably doing it too fast, and you're going to cause issue.
And I would say that if you're just starting to, building muscle mass is going to be the big thing, because you, at your current point, don't have a huge foundation, and so starting off with weight loss is like, I don't think anybody should start off with weight loss. Unless you have like a medical condition or something you like immediately need to lose weight. But I don't think anybody should start their fitness journey off with weight loss. I think, like you said, I think they should start with trying to prioritize protein, getting in whole foods, and practicing skills.
Yeah.
Right? Practicing the technique.
Our program, Newcomer, is probably the best program you could do. You don't have to go to a gym. You can literally go in there, do a couple exercises a day. It's about 4 days a week. Takes like 30 minutes. And it's more based off of steps instead of high intensity cardio and mobility. And it's a good start to learn how your body moves.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part. People worry too much about, I need to do barbell squat. I need to do this. Learn how your body moves. Learn. All right. Question 2. What are things I can do nutritionally that will cause me to gain the most muscle and lose the most fat?
Gotta eat the fat burning foods.
Fat burning foods, yeah. So this is a fat burning food. It's called testicles. No, no.
Liver King.
In all seriousness, I think what you can do is, again, start with protein.
Yeah.
Make sure you hit your goal.
Yes.
And then you let the rest of the calories fall as they may, and just track total calories from there.
Yeah.
Protein and calories, that's 90% of the puzzle. And if you do that consistently, you'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's really, it is that simple. I think that it's just, like you said, track protein, track those things, and just try and find out what you can do.
Yeah.
Right.
I really don't think it's nutritionally. I think it's more, those are the bases of nutrition, right? That's simple. The hard part is controlling behaviors.
It's the habits, right?
Like, I think that's the big thing. Like we talked about before in another podcast, like you're hungry and, well, you think you're hungry, go out for a walk, create a barrier. Make sure you don't buy those chips that if chips are your issue, don't buy them. You have to go to the store and you buy like the 25 cent or probably like 50 cents now.
25 cents.
Yeah. Back in my day, son. But buy the small bag of chips, right?
Yeah.
Do something that, yeah, if you really want it, you're going to have to go get it and then you do it. The problem is people don't want to be uncomfortable. Like we said at the beginning, they're going to be uncomfortable with nutrition. It's just part of nutrition. It sucks.
Just the way it is, man.
Yeah. Because we're meant to like evolutionary to seek food. But because we have so much food, we have to fight that instinct.
I never even thought of it like that.
I literally thought about it right now.
Yeah.
It's interesting, right?
Very true.
All right. Question number 3. I am a 35-year-old female and I don't want to get bulky. How should I exercise? Just stop.
Don't touch any barbells because you're going to get huge. Don't worry about that.
This is one of the myths.
Yeah, it's one of the myths. Yeah. So many people come in and say that, you know? It's
You know the first thing I say when a female tells me that? I'll be like, don't you think I would look fucking huge right now?
Yeah.
I would literally
be so jacked.
Like, I don't think they think how like guys think. All the guys in this gym, I tell them, look at all these guys. Don't you think all of them would be huge if it was that easy to get bulky?
Yeah. I wonder where that perpetuated from. It had to be like a product selling.
It had to be because women who started lifting weights were bodybuilders, right? There wasn't a lot of women who lifted weights. So first one seen and stuff like that. Now I'm glad there's more of the like feminine woman who lifts weights and still looks good.
Yeah.
And those women are starting to come out more and become a great influence on other women. Because as a guy, I could tell you all this, but you'd rather hear it from a woman.
You won't believe me, yeah. Which is like, I understand. I get it, right? Because you're going to say things that are like, oh, well, you just don't understand or you don't get it or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, okay, maybe I don't, right? But if you hear it from another woman, well, you really don't have any choice, right? Yeah. If that's what you're basing it off of, to accept that information. But yeah, I mean, like,
that's why I follow women fitness influencers.
Yeah,
I'll show pictures of like, do you like this girl's body? Well, she does weights 5 times a week. Does she look bulky? No. Like, you know.
Yeah, and it's funny because I just started going to a big box gym, right? And it's like there's a bunch of different types of people in there. There's specifically 2 people that I've seen. 2. It's one dude and one lady. And they're friends. And they're huge. They're super jacked, both of them. They're probably the only 2 people in that entire gym that I could say that about. Everybody else looks pretty normal. Everybody else looks good, right? Maybe I could tell some people are just starting or whatever it is. But that's how small of a percentage that you see in a giant gym.
Not only that, they can be naturally that way. Like, I don't think they are. Well, come on. Let me finish. I was going to say that next. Like, they could not be natural.
Yeah.
But they still have to eat a shitload of food.
Yeah.
They have to have a shitload of volume.
Yep.
So it's like they're purposely doing this. It's not like it just comes on like that.
Yeah. Same thing with like Ozempic, right? If I take it, it's not just going to suddenly I lost weight, right? Like you still have to do stuff, right?
You still have to not eat.
You still have to make changes. Yeah. It doesn't just happen. There's no magic pill.
Why, Lord? Why?
I know. I wish.
All right. Question number 4. Squatting hurts my knees when I'm going down. Why does that happen?
Yeah, there's so many different reasons.
Yeah, there's multiple factors. I'm going to tell you the not so obvious one first. Your feet and ankles. Mm-hmm. And so if you're not absorbing through your feet and ankles and your tibialis doesn't allow for dorsiflexion to happen, you could literally be causing knee pain because you're not absorbing force properly through there.
Mm-hmm. It could be injury. Yeah, it could be injury, right? Like I have a client right now who's been dealing with some knee pain, prior to working with me and stuff. And we'll try different things here and there, but sometimes, man, it just ain't the day. We just kind of move on from it and try something else out. We'll come back to it later. Now she's had injuries, right? She's had surgeries, things like that. Could be a lot of reasons, right? Who knows? I don't know if the surgery is done well. It could have been a long time ago. Like, who knows, right?
It could be you're not absorbing through your pelvic floor and core.
Yep.
It could be that you're not externally rotating or hinging properly at the beginning until we see a video. And this is why I think it's funny when someone like posts a video of like, if you have pain here, do this, this, and this. And I'm like, yeah, but it could be completely different for everybody.
So many reasons. Yeah. So, and I guess that's better information than nothing, but I think it's it falls almost into the spot where I'm like, this could be detrimental because if someone is like, oh, well, I tried the video and it didn't help, like
they're lying.
Maybe I'll just never squat, or maybe they're lying, or maybe I need that surgery or whatever it is. Right. And so I think that's where it kind of becomes a little bit kind of on the edge of like, well, is this okay? Is this ethical or not? But yeah, I would take a look at your technique, take a look at your form. Are you activating your core? Videotape yourself.
Videotape it, send it to someone.
Yep. Look at it, send it to us, whatever it is.
All right, guys. If you like what we're doing, please share, like, subscribe. We're on Apple and Spotify. Rate and review us. 5 stars. Nothing but honest reviews. As well, we're on YouTube. Comment down below. Then, if you're... actually, subscribe on YouTube. I forgot about saying that.
Oh, wow.
Hey. Also... if you're looking for a website, it's ssempowered.com. We have free blogs, free guides. You can purchase our programs on there as well. Look out for those free guides and blogs every month. Then, if you want to email us fitness questions, it's strengthsolutionsempowered@gmail.com. Then on social media, on Facebook, it's Strength Solutions. On Instagram, it's Strength Solutions Empowered. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Until next time, guys. What?